What's the secret to great gunplay in a first-person shooter? It seems so simple. You have a gun, a crosshair showing where you're aiming, you click on the left mouse button, a bullet comes whizzing out of the muzzle, and you kill your target. And yet some games just completely get it wrong. It may be that the accompanying sound of your gun firing is too pingy. It may be that the target flails about in a manner entirely unconvincing when shot, especially if the death animations aren't varied enough and you see that same canned death animation a few too many times. It may be that it feels like you're shooting paper cutouts. It may be that the artificial intelligence of your target isn't dynamic enough to make the game but simple target practice. Or it may be that all you're doing for 7 or 8 hours is crouching behind cover and taking potshots at enemies peeking out of theirs. After so many years of the gaming industry concentrating so heavily on first-person shooters, you would think that all the secrets to a great first-person shooter have been revealed and there's really nothing more that yet another first-person shooter could offer to give insight to this secret formula. But then comes along Bulletstorm to not only clarify some of the ingredients to this secret formula, but also offer up a few new ones. I think what Bulletstorm clarifies and absolutely emphasizes is the need for a visceral impact of gun hitting target. A gun firing has to be accompanied by a pleasing sound, has to have the right amount of recoil, and the hit target has to react to getting shot in a satisfying manner. If all three register, the game's gunplay is on track to be great. And many of the guns in Bulletstorm nail all three. I think the minigun in Bulletstorm is the single most satisfying minigun to use in all of gaming. I don't say this lightly. There are many games with great miniguns, of which Team Fortress 2 and Serious Sam stand out in my experience. Team Fortress 2's minigun is great within the context of the game. You have to strategically start jumping and spinning as you round corners. Same goes for Serious Sam because the sheer number of enemies that you get to mow down at one time makes its minigun such a joy to use. Both games' minigun feel great to use as well, but I think in terms of pure feel and sound and impact it has on enemies, Bulletstorm's minigun has them both beat. It's overpowered as fuck. Supposedly, a typical minigun fires about 2,000 to 6,000 bullets a minute, but I think Bulletstorm's minigun fires about 2 to 6 billion bullets per minute, which is why you don't get to keep it in your arsenal of guns but are given the option to temporarily use it in certain moments of the game. And oh boy, how sweet it is when you do get to use it. The sound and recoil are just about perfect. The way this screen shakes just adds to the visceral nature of the game. And the way everything you hit shatters to pieces is just absolutely thrilling. There are some other great guns in Bulletstorm as well. The flail gun shoots 2 grenades attached together by a chain, like Ebola, which wraps around the object or person you're targeting, meaning if a grenade bola wraps around the ankles, the target falls down, like cattle being run by cowboys. The grenades are remote detonated, so you can immobilize one target, wait for others to get close, and blow multiple targets to pieces. Then there's the sniper rifle, which has a feature similar to the Seeker in Singularity. You target someone, and the bullet flies in the direction of your target, and once the bullet is near the target, it slows down, and you can control its trajectory. But Bulletstorm does something interesting with this contrivance. The targeted enemy tries to duck away, forcing you to finally control your bullet. How does he know to duck away? How does he know that a bullet shot 500 yards away is fast approaching his head? Yeah, that doesn't make much sense, but it doesn't have to. It's purely a gameplay mechanism utilized to make the game as fun as possible, and that's entirely the focus of the game. The skill shot system the game utilizes does much of the same. You get points for each kill. The more creative, effective, and destructive the kill, the more points you're rewarded. And you use the points to upgrade your guns and buy ammo. Why is there a skill shot reward system in the game? There's actually a somewhat plausible explanation for it. Supposedly the skill shot system is a means to fund only the best soldiers, which doesn't entirely make sense, but it's no worse a gape in the plot than what you'll find in most films. What the explanation does though is give reason and the reward system motive for trying different things. You get 10 points for a standard kill. You get more for headshots, for setting up a kill by means of friendly fire, by causing an environmental death like impaling someone by flinging him into a sharp object, for killing multiple targets at once, for dropping them off a cliff, and for kicking an explosive barrel onto a target or vice versa. Then there are weapon-specific skill shots, story-related skill shots, In all, there are 131 skill shots, all of which can be uncovered by experimenting and trying out new things. Not all of them necessarily add something to the game, but there are so many of them that a few of them are bound to be fun to pull off. But it's not like you think about these things all that often. Everything's quite seamlessly integrated into the gameplay. The levels and enemies are designed specifically to take advantage of a skill shot system. You rarely pause to think about how to take out an enemy. You see a giant plant reminiscent of Audrey 2 from the Little Shop of Horrors? Try kicking someone in its direction. Try shooting someone in the groin and see if that results in some extra points. If the enemies are all situated far away from you but are bunched together, try sniping a nearby explosive barrel to see if you can set them all on fire. Or try sniping one target and as he ducks away, instead of following him with a bullet, hit another target standing nearby entirely unaware of a bullet headed for his head. Everything's seamless and you rarely spend time thinking about what kind of skill shot to pull off, and it's not like the game gives you much time to think. It's all gloriously chaotic and super fast paced. You could stay behind cover and shoot from long distance, and it's entirely your choice and there's really no wrong way to play a game. But if you're playing Bulletstorm that way, you're playing the game the wrong way. The way I played it was extremely fun, just running around sliding, and you can slide a long way, kicking people, blasting them into kibbles, and just generally being as chaotic as everything around you. And the game is just marvelously paced. The game has you doing a variety of things such as controlling a 50-foot gun-toting dinosaur robot thingy, or being given 30 seconds to evacuate an area filled with baddies, or fighting big-ass bosses, fighting off a horde of snipers, and so forth. And of course the skill shot system keeps things from getting too repetitive. And there are cutscenes, quite a few of them, and most of them are very much welcome. When you're fighting hordes at a breakneck pace, it's nice to get a short breather now and then. And it helps that Bulletstorm's story is actually quite decent. It may even be a step up from your typical Michael Bay farce. When I first saw gameplay clips, I thought it was going to be the standard save a human race by killing off all the enemies story. But it's quite a bit more than that. The story revolves around Grayson Hunt and his ragtag team of former Black Ops Army who are out for revenge against a general who used them to kill innocent civilians. I was actually pleasantly surprised that there's so much to the story and that it's pretty well crafted. The writing isn't as edgy as I would have liked, but it is generally good. It's decisively goofy and the humor misses more than hits, but it serves its purpose of setting up all the mayhem. And like good porn in which the story gets you in the mood for the sex, the story in Bulletstorm is there to stimulate the senses even before all the mayhem begins. You get riled up by it, amped up. It reinforces that Bulletstorm is gorgeously over-the-top cheesy machismo that you get only in the best Sly and Arnie films. Bulletstorm's not all butter and gravy though. It's got its detractions. Mainly, I'm not a big fan of the way they've implemented the electric leash. First, it's just too easy to use. If you just generally aim at your target, even if you're quite off, it will automatically grab your target and fling him towards you. Second, it would have been nice if you could fling your target in specific directions, like towards a cactus, or RG2, or trying to clump enemies together to set up multiple kill skill shots, so that you can do a bit more with a leash than just drawing enemies towards you. Third, I'm not a huge fan of the suspended animation thingy the leash places them in. It's not fun when you kick someone and they get propelled only 3 feet away from you. It takes away from the visceral feel of the game. Of course, if you kick someone that's in that suspended animation state towards like a sharp object, the target will fly towards the sharp object and get impaled in a manner that's entirely satisfying. But I would have liked there to be an option to either kick and cause the suspended animation thingy, or break the suspended animation and have them fly 50 feet whenever I want. Another thing I'm disappointed with is a shotgun. It's a quad-barreled shotgun, and you would expect it to be devastatingly powerful and satisfying to use, kind of like the double-barreled shotgun was in Doom. But it may as well just be an air cannon that simply propels people into the air. I find the shotgun sound quite unsatisfying, and that's kind of a big deal for me because my favorite type of gun to use in most shooters is the shotgun. Enemy artificial intelligence isn't altogether great either. One of the reasons why things get so gloriously chaotic is because you often find yourself in the middle of a clusterfuck, because enemies just seem to love surrounding you and uselessly flail about around you. And you always have at least one teammate by your side, and you have the worst teammates in the history of gaming. I thought Gears of War had bad teammates. If I ever met Dom in real life, I'm going to fucking kill him. But Bulletstorm outdoes Gears. It's not a huge problem because it's more fun to take care of business on your own, but watching them is pathetically hilarious. Ishii and enemy standing next to each other, both of them flailing about uselessly. It's just sad. And lastly, I feel like I'm playing 1942 or some other vertically scrolling game. You know how most enemies in 1942 just fire a single shot that moves painfully slowly towards where you were located about 10 minutes ago? That's kind of how it feels at times playing Bulletstorm. Of course, the bullets don't travel anywhere near as slowly as they do in 1942, and you can't very well dodge incoming fire, but enemies just seem to spray their shots so that if you're standing out in the open and there are about 5 enemies firing their machine guns at you, you'll get hit maybe once every second or so. I imagine that's by design, so you can freely run around and slide and close the gap between you and your target, but it does make the enemies seem a bit hapless and the surrounding chaos unthreatening. But these are minor detractions compared to what this game offers. The skill shot system makes the game highly replayable. I rarely play games more than once, but I suspect I'll be revisiting this game to uncover more skill shots. The game is quite gorgeous as well, but you can easily judge this for yourself by watching this video. What I mainly want to get across is just how fun Bulletstorm is to play. The generally excellent gunplay, the chaotic and breakneck pace of a game, the more than serviceable story, the at times funny and often raunchy, though not quite edgy enough for my taste, humor, and the excellent pacing makes this game easy to get into and incredibly fun to play.
It was worth the wait.
Wow, nicely done.
Yeah? Fuck you!